and welcome to another episode of the Richard Lewis Show. I'm, of course, Richard Lewis. Sam's over there in the bright light somewhere over there.
Yeah. Don't look this way, man.
Yeah, better not. Like, fuck me, that's a migraine waiting to happen. So yeah, we thought we'd do a show. Obviously, the show is brought to you by Rivalry.gg. You can use referral code RLS and earn up to $350 in VIP bonuses. Definitely go over and do that. It certainly helps the show out if you do. And yeah, look, I'm just going to say this right at the start of the fucking show. I'm doing another cycle of keto again. So I am,
straight to bed.
Yeah, it is fucking. I'm at that point now where, for those that have done keto, you'll know what I'm talking about. Very early on, you get this thing called the keto flu. You know, when you start entering ketosis, because you feel really lethargic.
It's basically like a come down from carbs.
Yeah, well,
much.
Yeah, it is. It actually has a lot in common with a come down.
Yeah, shakes, sweating.
Yeah, you do feel like or a bad hangover, or, you know, something like that.
Like your skin's crawling.
Yeah, and on top of that, you get to this point where your mouth just tastes like you've been sucking on pigs' arseholes all day.
My favourite.
Yeah, that like you just get this bad taste in your mouth. Like really thick, and then after that, you're sort of in ketosis. So so I'm at that point. So
Done the piss strips yet?
I've got piss
strips.
strips. I've got piss strips.
It's only been like 2 days. It might not be purple.
Yeah,
yet.
it's not
probably
be
be in between.
Yet. Yeah, I'm getting there. So yeah, we'll see.
There we go, mate. Someone in the chat said the lighting improved. Do you know how many fucking lights we have bought and used in this
You
room?
said that, and then someone subscribed just to say you look yellow. So I mean, yeah.
Exactly, mate. That is Twitch chat in a nutshell.
That's Twitch chat in a nutshell, isn't it?
Richard sounds loud. Why is Rich so quiet? So,
right. So the other good thing about keto is like you get absolutely fucking obliterated on like one beer. So I'm gonna open this, a keto-friendly beer. It's a Michelob Ultra with only 2.6 carbs per bottle. We're not sponsored by them, but if they're ever interested, I'm down.
donation from a Jerky's Minion for $100. Sorry, I had the sound off. From last time.
No. Thanks a lot, Jerky, man. Again, I always appreciate the fucking donations. Your money will be going to a good cause.
Booze. Michelob Ultras.
No, probably it's Bills. So look, I'm going to do the show. If I just get insanely drunk on these 2 beers I've lined up for myself, I hope everyone will forgive me for the insane shit I'll say.
That'll be a shame, won't it?
Yeah, it will be terrible.
Face after 2 beers.
Mate, it fucking... I'll tell you, I had 2 whiskeys. The last time I was doing a cycle of keto, I like literally got fucking flat on my back pissed off 2 big glasses of whiskey. It was unreal.
Yeah, 2 whiskeys is different from 2 beers, to be fair.
You'd be surprised. Oh, well, congrats at the poker tables, Jerky. Anyway, look, we'll start the show. One thing we sort of didn't talk about, because we are lagging a little bit behind, but we're also purposely not getting into certain topics. I mean, I think we'll say here, we do want to discuss the Alex Jones issue. But if I've learned anything in the past week or two, we're currently going through that process where everybody who is woke basically reads off a script. You know, what do we hate this week and why? And what makes people a Nazi this week and why? And if you have an issue with, and again, look, having to defend Alex Jones makes me sick to the pit of my stomach, I think. I mean, I'm sure Jack Dorsey feels the same way. Basically, having to come out and say that I think there's a legal system in process to penalize people that tell lies and defame people, and you know what I mean? I am not comfortable with the idea of basically big tech companies working together. And we told you, by the way, on this podcast, this is how it was going to go, that they would all come together and they would sort of coordinate and ban people. And again, maybe you're like me and you kind of think, well, InfoWars is full of shit, notoriously so, and they've got nothing worth saying. And Alex Jones is a fucking lunatic. And
but those meme compilations.
Yeah, but those meme compilations, and it's like I've said, I often thought he was kind of a benign idiot for a long period of time, but then it does take on a darker complexion, doesn't it, when victims, parents of children who've been murdered a sort of being dragged out into the public eye, and he's going to court to try and get their addresses made public and other stuff. It takes on a darker complexion. But that being said, I think he's the canary in the coal mine. If you're not going to go and fucking bat for him, then you don't really agree with the principles in the first place.
Well, that's a good quote in the chat that just says, first they came for Alex Jones, and the rest
but I think that's stupid. I'll say that as well. I saw a lot of videos like fucking Sargon of Akkad, who's just become a lazy fucking hack ever since he created his second channel, The Thinker, and he just realized he could, like, I don't know, as soon as he went on camera, basically, he suddenly became very interested in becoming like a celebrity and all of these stunts that he's doing. And he just became very lazy with his content because he realized he didn't have to try. And I saw he made this first that came for Alex Jones. And that other guy, Dave Cullen or whatever he's called, used to be at Computing Forever. Then he realized, hey, I can ride on this, anti-SJW train for a bit. And he also used that title. The first they came for Alex Jones thing, you got to remember what that was for. That was literally, that quote was about people being rounded up and killed, essentially. Rounded up and put in camps. It's certainly not.
Well, no, it's used as an analogy nowadays, as just a slippery slope analogy, right? It's basically to say if you oversight, infiltrations into your freedoms because they're on other people.
Sure, but I'm just saying that's where it comes from, and so I think it's a little bit fucking childish and melodramatic to use that sort of analogy. First they came for Alex Jones. Alex Jones isn't going to prison. He's not going to be put in a gulag. He's not going to be killed. Okay? He's just sort of being deplatformed and unpersoned. That's enough to be upset about. If you care about these things. It does interest. Look, this isn't the show. We're not going to talk about it on the show, but what I've learned, if you want to talk about serious topics and you want to have a dissenting opinion or even a sort of middling opinion, like Michael Tracy, for example, a journalist that we've had on the show before, and one of the few good journalists kind of out there that actually takes a critical eye to these issues. If you want to have those, but you've got to wait. You can't spit it out into the fucking melange of madness when all of these fucking hopped up, media types are ready to write hit pieces about anyone who disagrees with them. This is the point. The media has become a cartel, a group of sort of, intellectual thugs that if you disagree with them, they just en masse write pieces about you and try and harm you and try and take away your livelihood. All you have to do to have the sensible conversation is wait until they move on to the next thing, and then the grown-ups can talk. That's literally what you have to do. So we're waiting. We will talk about the, Alex Jones situation, no doubt about it. But we got to wait. You got to leave it a period of time, or you're just going to get sucked into it. And next thing you know, what is a fairly benign comment about saying how I don't like big tech mass deplatforming people, as a rule, suddenly becomes, alt-right leader Richard Lewis voices support for man who harassed, fucking parents of dead kids. And that isn't what I'm doing. And I don't think anybody in the right mind would do that. But that's unfortunately just how the climate is. So anyway, look, we'll move on to something. I've got a bunch of news stories that are light and funny, and then we'll get into a serious thing. We're going to talk about the media as is kind of de rigueur for the show. But look, Barry Chuckle died. Okay.
R.I.P. Barry.
Yeah, R.I.P. Barry. For those that don't know, the Chuckle Brothers were a staple of children's television in the United Kingdom for a long time.
Years,
decades. And what they do is
how long they were on TV.
They did kind of comedy, I guess, but physical comedy would be the way to describe it. Yeah. And they had like little catchphrases, to me, to you. They would always fuck stuff up. And it was kind of like a throwback to the almost kind of vaudevillian tradition. If you went to Blackpool 50 years ago, you would see guys like the Chuckle Brothers literally on piers out in, doing funny shit. for just a live audience and people throwing donations into a hat. So it was always kind of like a wonderful throwback to a sort of different time, and it made me kind of fucking amazed that a show like that could sort of transcend a generational thing. Like people were still watching it even fucking 5 years ago or whatever.
Well, I just saw they made their debut on the BBC in 1979, and I'm pretty sure they were still on TV now, obviously, until Barry passed away. So from 1967 till 2018, other active years. Yeah. Not a bad fucking graph.
Yeah, not bad, right? So he was 73, decent innings. Passed away from bone cancer, and there was a lot of tributes in the entertainment industry. But I saw one tribute that really stood out, and I wanted to put it on the show. The Sunday Sport is basically a newspaper that just publishes lies, like not in the way we're going to talk about later on. They deliberately publish amusing lies because it's generally, when I used to work on a building site, you would get a copy of the Sunday, of the Daily Sport, the Sunday Sport. You would go into the building site and you would read all the stupid bullshit that was in it while you were having a cup of tea and a sandwich, at the halfway point of the day. That was like entertainment. And they deliberately published just nonsense. And one of the things they published, it sort of as a tribute to Barry Chuckle dying, was I know, right? A story about a fictitious, obviously, stripper that they'd put in the paper years ago. Actually, she's like a recurring character at this point, called Pat Monk, and Pat Monk is a Barry Chuckle lookalike stripper. And they did a story, strippers tribute to dead star. I thought Barry's death would ruin me, but I've never been busier. And it's very clearly his face superimposed onto
a scantily clad elderly
woman. It's not real, folks, but I just saw this and I thought, what a wonderful way to pay tribute. Like, Barry would have had a laugh about that.
I don't know.
I'm sure Barry would have had a laugh about that.
It's not exactly slapstick, man. It's not his kind of comedy.
There's lots of things I could say. I'm not going to. But yeah, so I thought that was nice. That put a smile on my face at least. Yeah, nice tribute. Like a nice tribute. Yeah. So anyway, let's start, right? Here's the story, right? I'm hoping this is going to buckle you, Sam, because it buckled me the first fucking time, right? I mean, literally, like, I had a good... Like, it's very rare, obviously. If you see something funny, what you usually do, if you're a normal person, is you go, yeah, that's funny, and you sort of do it all upstairs, don't you? I actually physically laughed out loud for a good, like, minute or so, because it was just so ridiculous. Okay, so they Domino's, right?
I'm aware.
Right, okay.
As in the pizza or the game?
As in, not neither, actually. As in lining up Domino's and then knocking them down, and you make shapes and, whatever. When I was a kid, we used to have this thing called Domino Rally. And basically what it did was you were cheating with the dominoes.
Yeah, I had that as well, where they had like little things pointing out the side.
Yeah, and
you could jam them in.
Yeah.
I had that.
Yeah, Domino Rally.
And you could make like a fucking roller coaster thing.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. So it was like, you didn't have to do it properly with actual dominoes all equidistantly spaced. Anyway, they do world record attempts for these fucking things. I've seen a few of them. And they were doing one in Germany. Right. And it was like, this was the ultra hard one because it was miniature dominoes, and miniature dominoes are literally like, I don't know, like the size of like one joint of a finger, maybe, like very small and fiddly. And so this was in a town called Nidda near Frankfurt, and they were going for the world record of knocked down in a row mini dominoes to fall in one go, right? And they were setting this up all day.
Yeah.
And then a fly... No, I'm serious. A fly buzzed in.
How big's this fly, like?
Right? A fly buzzed in landed on one of the dominoes and just fucking set off the chain reaction and knocked them all down.
Oh, fuming.
Yeah,
mate.
absolutely fuming.
Should give it a fucking fly to David Blaine, mate. Let it fucking bring it back from the dead every day as it's torture.
And you can see here on the headline on DW.com. Fly ruins German domino world record attempt. It's just
but a fly triggered a premature chain reaction. Man.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Fucking hell.
And you can see here. This is where it's the run had 596,229 tiles, and once it's set off, it took 15 minutes for them all to fall over.
Wait, hang on. So are they say it says here they set 4 world records in a single? Oh, wait, so they beat it even with the fly fucking it, or did they just do?
No, there were separate things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, separate things. But basically, it was a dedicated team of domino experts. But this was the big one. This was the miniature dominoes, and it was huge. You know, almost 600,000 dominoes in this thing, and one fucking fly has absolutely fucking wrecked it. Like,
imagine how furious you'd be.
Oh man, I'd love it, man. I'd have been fucking.
Imagine how furious you'd be.
I'd have just loved it. Just loved it. But anyway, so there was that. I thought that was a little amusing story. What else? This was pretty rough. There's a publication called the Deccan Chronicle.
Deccan Chronicle.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's like an Indian news website. Okay. So it sort of aggregates news from India.
Right.
You ever took Viagra?
No.
Never?
No.
I remember when it sort of first came out and everyone was kind of...
Yeah, I think it's a generational thing.
Yeah.
I've never really known... I've met like one guy who I know takes Viagra regularly. I've never met anyone else really.
Yeah, well, look, so, I mean, I remember when Viagra first came out, right, and loads of people were like, you know... You remember all the jokes. They were terrible.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to raise the Titanic by sinking some Viagra down there, raise anything. You know, doesn't really work like that, right? But whatever. But there was a weird phase where, you know, I used to play in a rugby team.
Right.
And we go out.
I thought you meant before games. I was like...
No. Afterwards at the bar, and people had pop fucking...
Why, though?
I don't know. I don't know what they thought was going to
They
happen.
like uppers or something? Do they give you a buzz?
No. Not really. Not at all.
They're off popping a fucking ibuprofen or something.
Yeah.
Might do something.
I mean, I did also go to university with this guy, and we used to call him Medieval. I've told you about Medieval, haven't I?
I don't know.
Well, Medieval, we used to call him Medieval because he basically had the manners and social interaction skills of a medieval peasant that had been transported through time to the present day. So we just called him Medieval. He was just ridiculous. And Medieval was a big ecstasy freak. He took a lot of ecstasy, and for some reason...
As they did back then.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, ecstasy was big. And what had happened was, for whatever fucking reason, he couldn't get erections. Like, the ecstasy had broke his dick,
right.
Which I've heard before.
Yeah, I don't know. Something to do with serotonin.
Yeah, I've heard of that as a phenomenon. So he used to need Viagra just to get it up.
Yeah.
And then what he would do is, like, if he would go out. He was a single dude, right? So he'd go out, and the problem he said he always had was if he pulled. I mean, apart from the fact he shouldn't. I mean, like, he was hanging as well, so it wasn't like he was ever going to get a fucking a decent other half. But yeah, what he would do is he would have to try and time it, because he said if he'd been in these positions where he would pull, bring the girl back to his room, and then he'd be like, right, I've just got to pop a blue. And they'd have to sit there and wait for it to kick in before he could do anything. And invariably, the alcohol or whatever would wear off. And she'd be like, actually, you're gopping now. Yeah, I'm straight to bed, actually. Yeah.
Thing is, the guy I said, I know one guy who's taking them. He said they're not like... Because I thought of Viagra, you take it, and then you wouldn't have to even remember, and then suddenly your dick would just be hard. But he said it's not like that at all.
No.
He said it's more like a comfort... Like, it helps him keep a hard-on. It doesn't, like, give you an instant hard-on. It's, like, more of just a little...
I mean, it can in some cases. It can in some cases. But anyway, so what Mehdi used to do was he'd
Good old Mehdi.
Yeah, he'd pop his blues, and he'd fucking go out, and then he would have a window, and he'd try and pull within that window. So you get more and more desperate because he knew, like, well, if I don't do it now,
fucking hell, I got 15 minutes left.
So he would do that. One time, just completely unrelated to the story, we broke into his room and stole his blues. So we were like, we control your dick, Mehdi. We fucking you can't get a hard on unless we fucking okay it from now on. You might he got upset about that. He was like, I've never seen a grown man cry. Just give me back my blues. Straight crying. It was a mess.
Like Harvey Keitel, mate, with that small knob.
Bad lieutenant. We're in charge of your erections now, Mehdi. Anyway, look, the reason I thought I'd talk about that is I was very surprised by this story in the Deccan Chronicle, which is a man took Viagra, okay, and he got an erection. Okay, so far,
all the plans so far.
Yeah, but it wouldn't go away.
Right, I have heard of.
Because this is a thing. Priapism. You ever heard of that? It's where blood flows into the penis and then clots, so it can't flow out.
Okay, makes
and
sense.
it becomes very, very painful because you're not supposed to have erections for very long periods of time.
I guess your dick gets like sprained. I don't know. I guess.
Yeah. So, I
don't know.
A lot of people said that, like, when you see all those pictures of like the Indian gurus and like the Kama Sutra and stuff like that, and they've all got just massive fucking rods and they're all just like zen as fuck. But a lot of people said this was sort of talking about the phenomenon of priapism, and you could take drugs to kind of induce priapism, so you just have erections for days. I don't know why anyone.
Why?
Yeah, 100%.
Having a massage blood out of your knob, like.
Yeah, it's really not cool. But anyway, so this guy got an erection,
right,
and it wouldn't go away. And I'll read you here. He tried vigorous masturbation, but it didn't work.
Oh fuck.
So what he did was he lay down. He thought, I'm just going to sleep out the erection, and it'll probably be
That would be
gone
my plan as well. Maybe I'd have a cold shower first before the sleep. But, you know.
By the morning. But there was a slight problem, and the slight problem is revealed by the headline. A kind of a bit of a spoiler here. Man who took Viagra fractures penis as child trying to wake him up jumps on it. Okay. So he fucking hell. So he was just lying down waiting for his erection to go. Kids come in the room, wake up daddy. Dad. Yeah. Jumping up and down on him and snapped his fucking erect dick.
You're the reason why your mum left. You've brought my knob again.
No, I'll tell you, this is just another reason not to have fucking kids, isn't it, mate? Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, they just will not leave you alone.
That's a hell of a line. The accident left him in a lot of pain as the man complained of a deformed member.
Deformed member.
Oh, mate.
Yeah.
He's applying for mad kind of medicine. Like, I've got a deformed member.
So there you
he
go.
took 100 milligrams of Viagra the night before, causing his erection to persist even after sex. Oh, so he fucked his wife.
Yeah, that was the point. Like... he just kept on going.
And then he said
then
he tried vigorous masturbation. He fucked his wife up all night. Just please. Fucking hell.
And then he got his dick snapped. So So there you go, kids.
There we go. Surgeons repaired the injury, and the man was finally able to get erection 6 weeks after the accident.
Talk about fucking feast or famine, right?
Shit was a month and a half, mate. There is no worse time than when your dick hurts, but like definitely not.
There is though.
I don't know. Not for those few moments. I say moments. 6 weeks and not few moments.
Yeah, true.
You would have to come to grips with the fucking pain in that time.
So there's that. What else did I have here? We'll come to that. I saw this weird story, again, from Florida, obviously. We keep talking about this. Florida is like, I don't know, it's kind of like Fallout was real already, but nowhere else in the world was affected, but Florida.
Or if that George Carlin bit where they said put everyone into different states, but you just took everyone and put them in Florida.
Yeah, like it's just weird how fucked up everyone is down there. And this story kind of really sort of hammers it home, right? This is about it's like a local politics story. And it's the mayor of Hallandale Beach called Keith London.
Right.
And this guy's out of his fucking mind, Sam. Seriously. He's been elected mayor. I don't understand how this happened. Look, I'll read you the headline, but there's just more in the article, right? Mayor publicly accuses commissioner of anal bleaching.
What do you mean accuses?
Right,
If it's illegal.
No, it's mad.
What's wrong with that?
Why Hallandale Beach Mayor Keith London thought it relevant, much less appropriate, to accuse a female commissioner of making her living from bleaching her own anus.
How do you make a living?
No, but it's the thing. I don't even understand what you was driving at, right? Check it out, right?
Check it out.
I'll give you the quote. Okay, so they were discussing the budget.
You spending all the budget bleaching your anus, that's the problem.
Okay.
Sorry, Keith.
So when Hallandale Beach Mayor Keith London said, sphincter bleaching is a very up-and-coming business during the City Commission's budget discussion Monday night, he may have been right. But whether he thought anal bleach had anything to do with public safety budgets, which was the topic that was being discussed, remains unclear. So he said to the commissioner, he goes, was it getting my sphincter bleached? Is that what I earned my income for? London said to Commissioner Annabelle Lima Taub as the two exchanged personal attacks. No, that would be you. I just don't understand.
Maybe saying she earned her income to pay for anal bleaching?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe you know what? No, I earn my money to spend on other things. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way, still mentally ill.
Yeah, right. And then obviously, Lima Taub commented here. She told the Miami
I've
Herald,
never had my sphincter bleached.
Yeah, just listen to this for just a mad statement. If you're involved in politics and this is a statement you've got to put out, right? Was it getting... right, here it is. Lima Taub told the Miami Herald that she does not profit from bleaching her own anus.
Makes sense now.
And whether or not she uses skin bleaching products commonly applied by people with medical conditions causing hyperpigmentation would certainly not be anyone's business but her own, she said. And then for the record, her mother owns a spa that sells skin bleaching
That
cream.
makes more sense.
I mean, I guess. Even if I was doing that for a living, that's not appropriate for the sitting leader of the city to speak this way.
All I am going to say is, it does sound like you do. So he was right. You've got to say you are. All right, your family sell butthole bleach. I'm just saying.
Right? No, listen
you do
to
make
this,
money
though.
from butthole bleach.
Listen to this. This is mental. This is where it gets really mental.
The defense rests.
A ponytailed commissioner turned appointed mayor. London has a history of inappropriate remarks. In 2017, he told Broward investigators that a fellow commissioner was a migrant worker. He wasn't. Earlier this year, London was recorded asking a city employee if he sucked dick while in prison. What's he doing?
This is big hurt, mate. Were you busting cheeks in prison? No, I was not busting no cheeks.
No. It's fucking mental.
He's splitting wigs.
Yeah, this guy's a mayor. What is going on? How is this a fucking real elected official? It's just mind-blowing. So I just thought that was just a fucking outrage.
What's that? You don't like my budget? Well, I'm not the one selling butthole bleach.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
I'm not the one bleaching my anus. Okay. So we've got a few bits and pieces here about the UK. So, we've talked about Wasps on the show.
Yeah, and your hatred thereof.
Yeah. So I've said this before, the only thing that you should call a Nazi, that apart from actual Nazis, and certainly not what gets called a Nazi most of the time, the only other thing I would be comfortable with would be if you applied that to a wasp. Because wasps are kind of nature's Nazis. They just want to fuck everything up for everyone else. They're just miserable pricks. They don't even like their own kind, wasps. They just hate everyone and everything. Fucking up picnics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not a fan.
Hiding in bins, stinging people.
Not a fan. So anyway, there's been this like heat wave in the UK. I'm sure you heard about it. Not that it matters out here, where it's 100 fucking degrees every day without fail. But in the UK, there was a heat wave, and what happens is in the UK, because when a heat wave comes out, everyone behaves like they've never fucking seen the summer before. They all just like sit around. Oh, I'll take the day off work and I'll go sit in a beer garden. Come on, it's barbecue weather. Lads. And they sit around, and what happens is wasps just come out to fuck with everything. And of course, wasps do love sticky piss weak lager, don't they? It's one of the much like the average Brit, right? The average Brit's up there. Yeah, another part of Foster's. Like, another part of. Give me the Carlin, yeah. Brexit means Brexit. Carlin.
Nothing but love for my country.
So what happens is the wasps then get into the beer and start drinking the beer. And I don't know if you noticed this, but wasps are smaller than people.
Yes, they get wrecked.
So they get a massive head on. And this has actually led to what is being reported in Devon Live, a fine publication. Basically, there's been a national warning over angry drunk wasps being issued. They're getting fucking leery and attacking people even more than they usually do.
You want some? Yeah, you want some?
You fucking want some, lad?
You want some?
What are you looking at?
You've got no fans.
You're looking at my fucking antenna, you slag. So look, it says here, Britain is under attack from lager-lout wasps who are going on stinging rampages, experts have warned after getting drunk. No, and let's just a reminder for everybody.
They can be found in the kebab shop at the end of the night, ordering chips and getting Larry.
Right, because obviously not everyone. Wasps can just sting you repeatedly.
Yeah,
they're not like bees. Not like the honourable bee, which if it stings you,
take one life with my own.
Yeah, exactly. It gives its own life because of the way the sting sac is attached to its gut. They can live in very rare cases, I will say. It's been known. But generally they die. Not wasps, of course. Just the absolute scum of the earth. Experts have given a warning about boozy wasps who are getting drunk on fermented fruit and beer because their normal food sources have dried up and they're attacking everything they can. The Sussex Wildlife Trust has revealed that a genetic trait in wasps' short lives, mercifully short, lad, forces them to pursue booze and alcoholic decaying fruit at this time of year.
As if they've literally said their will to die young forces them to drink. Yeah. What? The wasps are just like us, Richard. They're just like...
Sounds like wasps were sort of a bit like Amy Winehouse, just without the talent, right?
I've got a pretty good stinging shit, man.
Yeah, true, actually.
You can do it multiple times. Better than bees.
You ever played that game? Right, you know how it started out with it was Edward Cider Hands. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I have no idea.
Right. So Edward, right, there's a film called Edward Scissorhands.
Yes, I have heard of that.
Okay, so Edward Scissorhands is a film about a guy who has scissors.
Never heard of his Appley brother.
Yeah, well, what you do with Edward Ciderhands is you tape two 2.5 litre bottles of cider to your hands, and you can't take them off, and you can't take them off until you've drank all of the booze, right?
Edward 40 Hands. Yeah, that's the American version.
That's the American version, obviously. Right. But it got knocked up a notch, and it became Amy Winehands, right? You got 2 bottles of wine.
What? You can't stop till you drink yourself to death. What the fuck? How do you end it?
Yeah,
what do you mean?
You can't,
mate. You can't name a drinking game after someone who died from booze.
No,
mate, it ruins the entire night.
So I'm just saying, Amy Winehands, that's a thing. That is a thing. But anyway, yeah. So wasps are out there attacking people, pissed out of their fucking minds. Yeah, just literally smashed. And it even made, funnily enough, this story actually got reported in America for some reason. I saw there was you don't need to bring it up or anything, but it's CBS reported this story.
What, they're saying be careful in the UK?
Yeah, if you go to the UK, basically watch out for fucking
drunk wasps.
Drunk, irritable wasps. The hyperlink just says drunk, irritable wasps, Britain. And I'm going to file this under another reason Britain is shit. I'm doing it. I'm taking the wasps, and I'm the drunk, irritable wasp. But there's another reason as well, right? Britain does have You know, in America, like the things we call soy boys, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Listen, I can kind of respect that. If your politics are a bit fucking pathetic, and more often than not, you're basically a predator posing as a house pet. Male feminists. Right?
Thing is, I've never done that since because I'm just scared it'll fuck up the mix.
Yeah, don't touch the
Not
mix.
worth
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, I can almost respect it to a certain degree in America because they do get a bit they get a bit heated, a bit mardy, like how they're all LARPing, wearing t-shirts. I punch Nazis. You couldn't pull the heat off your own fucking dick. What you talking about, like? But anyway, when you see sort of activists in the UK, they're just really pathetic. Like, I saw this story here. It's just so cringeworthily sad, right? So, man quit his job, and he quit his job, which was he worked as like a transporter or something, and he quit his job and traveled around Europe. And he had a GPS tracker attached to his van.
Right. And
he drove around Europe so he could spell the words "Stop Brexit." Well, that's worked, hasn't it, Sam? It's done now. Brexit, that's it now. There's no way they can go ahead with it. Now that fucking passionate pro-Remainer Andy Pardee, right, spent $6,000...
And his job.
Yeah, quit his job, spent $6,000 on the van, and $5,000 like just driving around to 32 countries just so he could spell "Stop Brexit" on his fucking G. Like, what does he think is gonna happen? Like, does he think Theresa May's gonna see this and go, "Fucking hell, this is the profound message"?
If that's how you sign it, it's obviously not very good at fucking handwriting, so am I going to listen to some sort of dribbler on fucking political issues, mate? If you can't write, I ain't going to listen to your fucking theories.
It's so mad, mate. It is like...
Come to me when you can do fucking joint writing.
Like,
we'll talk.
Listen to this quote. "I've always wanted to do something like this around you."
Oh, does that as in,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I thought you meant always wanted to do something as in be a mess, quit my job to write Stop Brexit.
And I've been frustrated with the debate and the way Brexit's been going over the last couple of years. I wanted to leave my job and go and do something for myself, but also to try and rally as many people as I can and just do something different. How on earth is this going to rally anyone to the cause? Seriously, like, if you saw this, okay, let's say you were pro-Brexit, right? Let's say you were one of the people who voted for Brexit.
Right.
And you saw this. Why would this change your opinion?
This guy got a point.
Yeah. Look at the way the X is all
so
beautiful, up, man. Yeah. He's right. Driving around Europe is something we might not be able to do now if Brexit's kicked in, and maybe I want to drive around Europe one day spelling stupid things out with my GPS system. Maybe
how could I possibly do that if I have to show my passport at the border? How could I do it?
Yeah, maybe I want to draw a big knob by driving across Germany.
Also, you should have gone to Russia, mate. Way more fucking paper space.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
if you want to write something, could have done it in 3 streets in Russia.
What a fucking absolute fucking idiot. Like, it's just, just the idea that he's like, first, newspapers shouldn't encourage this. Like, so you wrote "Stop Brexit," did you, on a GPS system? Yes, yeah, like, just grow up.
Do you mind if I use this for one of the mandatory pieces I must submit each day to get my job done? Sure.
Sure. And with that in mind, because I did bring up Germany, far be it from me to suggest that the Germans have had their fucking, manliness and macho spirit kind of eroded down the years. Like, it's like I say, look, I understand it. I just think one of the saddest things that ever happened to sort of German culture is how they just became apologetic for everything. Like, I've literally had Germans that I know, because, I've been out there quite a few times, speak German enough to get by. I've had Germans apologize to me for the war. Like, dude, please, man.
It's fine, we won. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you apologize
It's
for.
like, seriously, like, it's, it's all
I know,
right.
as if you're the one who pressed the red button.
Yeah, like, do you know what I mean? Like, just leave it alone, mate.
Oh, wait, 2 World Wars, 1 World Cup, 2.
No, and I hate that bullshit
Yeah,
too.
exactly.
Like, I hate British people who go, "Yeah, we won the war."
Yeah,
Like,
but I think that's
you
just
didn't do anything, you
mate.
fat
I've
cunt.
never heard anyone
You didn't
say
do
that.
anything, you
legitimate,
red
though.
faced moron. I've definitely heard people say
I've
that.
never heard anyone say that legitimate. 2 World Wars, 1 World Cup.
Mate, I've seen people sing that.
Yeah, because that is
Do-da, do-da.
2 World Wars and 1 World Cup. Oh, the do-da day.
It's a fucking nightmare. But anyway, like, I just want Germans to, get their backbone back again, and it's going to be all right, like, it's fine. But this story doesn't give me hope. Sky News. Man calls police. Help, I'm being chased by a baby squirrel. And you're going to be like, okay, well, the police certainly told him where to, what to fuck off, or whatever. No. Okay. A man had to be rescued by police when he was... This is a German man near Karlsruhe in Germany. A man had to be rescued by police when he was being chased by a baby squirrel. Officers received a call for help and arrived to see the animal still chasing the caller in Karlsruhe, Germany. Police said on Twitter the man told them, "Help, I'm being pursued by a squirrel." Officers launched their own chase for the squirrel, which they caught, and the animal fell asleep. And there's a picture of the animal, like all cute and asleep. Police say the rodent has now become their new mascot and has been dubbed Karl Friedrich. So look, here's the thing that it says down here. A police spokeswoman said squirrels that have lost their mothers often focus on a person as a replacement. She said it can be pretty scary.
Oh, what's that? The most adorable animal known to man, a baby squirrel.
I know, imagine it. And added that the caller was certainly feeling a bit threatened. Grow the fuck up, mate.
Most people, if you're getting chased by a squirrel, surely most people turn and go like, "Oh, hello." Isn't that what most people react to? A cute
I'd love to
little
get
animal.
chased by a squirrel.
Yeah, exactly.
You know
He'd
what I
become
mean?
my little sidekick. If he's looking for a new mum, mate, I'll happily adopt this cunt.
I just
He
get
can follow
chased
me
by
around all
fucking
day.
members of the FGC. Stinking of shit. But like, what's wrong with you? Like, what's wrong with you if you have to call the police to come and rescue you because a tiny baby squirrel is running at you? Like, what's going through your fucking head?
If squirrels bolt to attack, do you really think he's got his eyes set on me? I gotta keep moving. If a squirrel's coming to you, he isn't gonna fuck you up.
Yeah, someone in the chat there, Zeo, says maybe he's half Swedish. that might make some sense. Anyway, we're getting to the serious part of the show. Yes, you will notice how we do it. A spoonful of sugar to help the medicine go down. We're going to start talking about media matters. So there's been a lot going on lately in the press, and it's really kind of, it's upset me a little bit, right? Because I don't think what's going on is being accurately represented. I've said it for a while now. There was a tipping point where journalists became activists ahead of the 2016 election, and everybody just let it slide. And now we just live in a fucking bizarro world where journalists can say pretty much just things that are objectively false. And as long as it's false, but you wish it was true, it's actually okay. To get accurate media reports these days is incredibly difficult. And you've got to be incredibly discerning about where you get your news. And ultimately, you've got to kind of know the publication's agenda before you go in, and what's the likelihood of them actually telling you the truth on a particular issue. Can I really trust CNN to give me a accurate portrayal of a Trump speech? No, is the answer. But equally, should I believe everything Sean Hannity says about the GOP? No, that would be as equally stupid. So we exist in this weird time where it's like, basically the media is just, they've drawn up these territories that they occupy, and objective reporting is sort of dead. It doesn't sell. People don't seem to care about it. What gets you clicks these days is basically reiterating the political viewpoint you already believe in, or taking an issue and saying and reporting on that issue with a very loaded opinion about it. And then I get all the people that feel that way, click on it and feel good about themselves. And as a result of this, listen, Donald Trump is fucking mental. I say this all the time, and yet I still get called a Trump supporter. His Twitter feed just depresses me now, Sam. Donald Trump's Twitter feed just depresses the ever-living shit out of me. I wake up every day, I don't see the funny side anymore. Like, I just don't. It's just tiresome. It's really fucking tiresome. I mean, I can't imagine, like, how sort of divorced from reality you have to be, like, to not read his tweets on a daily basis and kind of think, like, this is just fucked up that a president is doing this. I can't think of any other world leader that sort of wakes up and tweets, this person I've just fired from my cabinet, or this person who's just left. Here's a stupid nickname for that person. They are a loser. I am the best. It's like, you're a 70-year-old man. Like, this is wild. It's bizarro world. Again, it's just so fucking weird. And I just can't. I cannot ever. Like, I'm all about people being accessible and talking real on Twitter. But what Trump does is just embarrassing for all involved. And I honestly think that people in the cabinet that work with him must be, like, it must just be, they must just wake up every day, oh, fuck, he's done it again. And they have to go into work, and they have to stand there and grin for the papers and the press, who are just looking to tear strips off them anyway. I mean, we all remember how. Do you remember when Steve Bannon was the real president? Do you remember that? Steve Bannon is the real president, and he's a Nazi and a white supremacist, and he's evil. And then he just left, and we don't hear about him anymore, do we? Right? And everyone just says, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah." And now it's the next person. This next person is the evil white supremacist and whatever. It's just, it's not that. The press will, if you just work in that administration, the press are just going to fuck you up. And the second you leave, you're pretty much absolved. It's fine. But yeah, one thing that happened recently was Donald Trump referred to the media as the enemy of the people. And needless to say, journalists got very upset about this. And I'm probably going to say something that's kind of a little bit controversial, I guess. Because the reason I'm talking about Trump's Twitter and how I think the things he says are just insane and ridiculous. The one thing I will say is this. He should have explained it a lot better. But of course, you can't expect Donald Trump to ever do that. But if the media lies to the people, and it lies to its audience, its readership, its viewership, it kind of is the enemy, isn't it? I mean, there's no getting away from that. I think one of the most grotesque things, like I saw with this IGN thing, loads of people, journalists mainly, they were going, "Oh, the worst thing you can do as a journalist is plagiarism." And there's absolutely not. What the fuck are you talking about? It's bad. The worst thing you can do as a journalist is lie. It really worries me that everyone forgot about that one. Like, everyone forgot. Oh, we're actually supposed to be telling the truth. Yeah, fuck, yeah. What I mean is the worst thing you can do is lie in print, or, and tell audience the lies. That was the word, and then plagiarism. They fucked up. They're just so shameless about it. They don't think lying is that bad a thing. I've actually seen journalists this election cycle say that you have an obligation to lie, to do anything to stop Trump, and they just keep their jobs and no one cares. Now, unfortunately, this is another one of those rare occasions where I guess I'm going to have to agree with Trump. Not that I want to. And say that, again, what he should have specified was that the media who lies to the people are the enemy of the people, by definition. By definition. They don't care about the people if they're going to lie to them. And unfortunately, I see this all the time. Now, I'm going to play something for you because this upset a lot of the press, and they're still having a little hissy fit about it. And there's a video I want to play because if you've followed what's been going on in the media and the shit that they've said, then this should resonate with you. I feel immensely sorry for Sarah Sanders. I really do. I think her job is it must be distressing for her. I think she's got one of the most thankless jobs in modern politics. I think she is almost all too often, the face of ridiculous, unstatesmanlike behavior from the person she has the misfortune to represent. And every day she comes out and the press just go at her. And she's even getting harassed in public now. And she has to have a security detail. The first press secretary that's ever required it in the history, like to have a Secret Service detail. And here it is. This video that I want you to play was basically Sarah Sanders getting accosted, as it's now known, Jim Acosta from CNN. Basically, what he uses, these press conferences are meant to be there for the press to ask questions, have them answered in an orderly fashion. And what Jim Acosta does every fucking goddamn time is he gets up and he makes a scene. He just makes a scene. Every time he's invited somebody, he just makes a fucking scene. He's an embarrassment to the press corps. He just gets up and he'll just talk over everybody and he'll hog the floor and it's all about him and it's just grandstanding. And he did it again. And he tried to corner Sarah Sanders and try and get her to basically... And she understands she's in a rock and a hard place. Because if she comes out and says, I agree that the media are the enemy of the people, they spin it that, well, didn't Hitler say that once? And Sarah Sanders is Hitler. And they draw a picture of her with a little fucking mustache. And they fucking monster her, right? Or she can contradict the president and lose her job. Those are her two options. And Acosta knows that, right? And he even says so much. He even says in this video, Sam, this 3-minute video, that pretty much because she works in politics, she is fair game for the outrageous smears and abuse and lies that have been thrown her way by the media, and indeed the harassment she gets in public. And I think she handled this brilliantly. I have a lot of respect for her in the way she handled this. But are you ready to play this?
Yeah.
All right, go for it. I can just listen.
The press is not the enemy of the people. And she asked you whether or not the press is the enemy of the people. You read off a laundry list of your concerns about the press and things that you feel like are misreported, but you did not say that the press is not the enemy of the people. And I think it would be a good thing if you were to say right here at this briefing that the press, the people who are gathered in this room right now, doing their jobs every day, asking questions of officials like the ones you brought forward earlier, are not the enemy of the people. I think we deserve that.
I think the president has made his position known. I also think it's ironic.
Would you mind telling us,
I'm
Sarah,
trying to answer your question.
Okay, well,
I politely waited, and I even called on you despite the fact that you interrupted me while calling on your colleague.
Well,
I said it's ironic.
Which is why I interrupted.
I'm trying.
But if you finish, if you would not mind letting me have a follow-up, that would be fine. But
It's ironic, Jim, that not only you and the media attack the president for his rhetoric, when they frequently lower the level of conversation in this country. Repeatedly, the media resorts to personal attacks without any content other than to incite anger. The media has attacked me personally on a number of occasions, including your own network, said I should be harassed as a life sentence, that I should be choked. ICE officials are not welcomed in their place of worship, and personal information is shared on the internet. When I was hosted by the Correspondents Association, of which almost all of you are members of, you brought a comedian up to attack my appearance and call me a traitor to my own gender. In fact, as I know, as far as I know, I'm the first press secretary in the history of the United States that's required Secret Service protection. The media continues to ratchet up the verbal assault against the president and everyone in this administration, and certainly we have a role to play, but the media has a role to play for the discourse in this country as well.
And sir, if you don't mind, if I may follow up, excuse me, you did not say in the course of those remarks that you just made that the press is not the enemy of the people. Are we to take it,
fucking real?
what you just said, we all get put through the ringer, we all get put in the meat grinder in this town, and you're no exception. And I'm sorry that that happened to you. I wish that had not happened. But for the sake of this room, the people who are in this room, this democracy, this country, all the people around the world are watching what you're saying, Sarah, and the White House for the United States of America, the President of the United States should not refer to us as the enemy of the people. His own daughter acknowledges that, and all I'm asking you to do, Sarah, is to acknowledge that right now and right here.
I appreciate your passion. I share it. I've addressed this question. I've addressed my personal feelings. I'm here to speak on behalf of the president. He's made his comments clear. Ed, go ahead.
On another matter.
There you go. Look, if that doesn't sort of underline just how kind of fucked up things have got in terms of reportage around this administration, because everything she said is true, I think what I'm about to show you will underline it. That the media has very much lost its way and has become mired in politics and this belief that they're like hopped up right now on this idea that they're not just the fourth estate anymore, which is what we used to call the media, the fourth estate, in that they keep the powerful accountable through honest reporting. They don't believe they're just the fourth estate anymore now. They've got themselves fucking hopped up, juiced up on this idea that they are the last line, basically saving humanity from itself, I suppose, but certainly from this like neo-fascistic element that they've completely imagined. And they are absolutely wilding the fuck out on this power trip, dude. It is so insane. And I'm going to show you something that is absolutely going to fucking shock you, right? Because they did a fact check, right? They did a fact check in the Washington Post about what Sarah Sanders said. And it's mind-blowing to me. It's mind-blowing to me. When you read this, when you see this, I think it's going to kind of like make you understand like how they all close ranks together. It's one of those industries where that's just how it goes. So it was called Sarah Huckabee Sanders Indicts the Media on Trumped Up, wink wink, charges. Okay. And so they break it down. So she says, the media said I should be harassed as a life sentence. And they reply, nobody said Sanders should be harassed as a life sentence. This refers to a TV appearance from Washington Post opinion blogger Jennifer Rubin. Rubin was actually saying that declining to serve Sanders at the Red Hen restaurant wasn't a fruitful course of action and people should protest instead. She said nothing directly about people harassing Sanders, although she did say being uncomfortable should be a life sentence for her. What? This is a fact check, Sam. This is the Washington Post publishing a fact check. What does being made uncomfortable as a life sentence mean then, if not harassment? Like, is this really as good as it gets? Is this the defense? Is this the defense? It gets better, right? The media said that I should be choked. Nobody advocated for Sanders being choked. And I'm thinking, well, of course not. That would be absurd. This, like the Rubin example, again relies on quite an uncharitable version of events from conservative media. MSNBC's Nicole Wallace, whose show I have appeared on for full disclosure, didn't call for the choking of Sanders, but instead asked a reporter if she had ever wanted to wring her neck.
Sorry.
Well, right. Now, there's some obvious jokes coming in here, Sam, and I hope we're all mature enough to avoid these obvious jokes at my expense. But have you ever tried wringing someone's neck, Sam?
Nah.
Right. Well, let me tell you, as somebody that may or may not, if you wring somebody's neck, to wring a neck, okay, if you were to actually do that, it would deprive someone of oxygen. And when you can't breathe, very often that is referred to as choking.
Yeah.
You see. So I would like to know what the method of wringing somebody's neck actually is, given in mind that while it's been widely reported that's what I did, I obviously have never done that to another person outside of my bedroom. Images.
Lamau.
Yeah, Lamau. But yes, if you do that, if you wring somebody's neck, it would deprive them of oxygen, and as such would be tantamount to, attempted murder unless it was consensual and controlled. So that's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting that the best you could do in defense in this fact check was that, oh no, all we asked was, have you ever wanted to wring her neck? We never said she should have been choked. We just said that, you probably want to wring her neck from time to time. Okay, good, got him. When I was hosted by the White House Correspondents Association, you brought a comedian up to attack my appearance and call me a traitor to my own gender. Defense: nobody asked the comedian to say these things. Did happen, though. This is obviously the Michelle Wolf incident, where Michelle Wolf, a name that I didn't even know, and then bizarrely, despite being an absolute nobody in comedy, after this Correspondents Association dinner where she attacked the Trump administration and attacked Sarah Sanders and said all the shit, she got her own Netflix show. A Netflix show where actually she did a comedy sketch where she compared ICE, that's American law enforcement, that have actually rescued more children this year from child sex trafficking than I think any other international policing organization in the world, if you look up the numbers. She compared ICE to ISIS. That's the cutting edge comedy I like. So yeah, okay. Fact check. The fact is, these things were said. Why are you saying? She'd never said that anybody asked to say. I think the Washington Post, democracy dies in darkness, right? Because again, this is how you know, like when someone is just literally drunk on the smell of their own farts. This was when you knew the Washington Post was fucked. The moment it put that masthead, democracy dies in darkness, you just knew how fucked up they were. Because it's like, what, are you the last line of defense? Are you the last line? Is railing against a democratically elected party and just lying about them constantly every day and dedicating resources to it? I think I saw an opinion piece in the Washington Post just the other day called "How This is How Republicans Got So Mean and Stupid." Yeah, what next? Like, why Republicans are big doo-doo heads? Democracy dies in darkness. Get me the fuck out of here, man. I grew up wanting to be a journalist. I grew up watching movies like All the King's Men, which exposed the Watergate shit. I grew up wanting to be that, wanting to hold people accountable. Not this. This is fucking garbage. So anyway, on it goes. I think there's another fact to be checked here. Oh, no, sorry, my bad. It was just that was the rebuttal. But it does say at the end, the media is hardly above criticism and should never be. Yeah, good luck criticizing the media in the current landscape, by the way. If you come out and say the media is full of shit, guess what happens? This. you get absolutely pilloried en masse by every publication. You know, look, it's not just games media where this shit happens. We're past that. The political media operates this way now. And then adds here, it's also a bit rich to lodge complaints about the media when your own arguments are so inaccurate. I mean, or as you can see from the rebuttal, almost entirely accurate. And if these are the best examples Sanders has, it suggests she doesn't have much of a hand to play. Who's playing a hand? What she's talking about is you have encouraged this vile abuse and harassment, and you've lied about her and put her in a position where you are actively telling people to harass her in public, and then you go, but we didn't use the word harass. We said she should be made to feel uncomfortable. What does that mean? Why are you saying make this woman who works in politics feel uncomfortable? I thought you were all feminists, by the fucking way. I thought we were all feminists these days if we were enlightened beings, and yet what you're saying is that this woman, just because of the political party she works for, should be made to feel uncomfortable anywhere she goes in public as a protest. That's not how you protest. That is never how a peaceful protest is operated. Ever, by the fucking way. A peaceful protest is not you noticing someone in a grocery store and harassing them until they feel unsafe and leave. If you think that's peaceful protest, you are a fucking idiot. The end. They're not up for debate. There's no discussion about this. That is not a peaceful protest in any way, shape, or form. And this is the Washington Post advocating for this shit. Backing up their buddies at fucking CNN. The cartel strikes. Again. But don't call them the enemy of the people. Don't call them the enemy of the people advocating for this shit. So yeah, what else do you think happened off the back of that? Well, of course, there will be opinion pieces. And Brett Stevens, who is the New York Times columnist, a man prone to histrionics and everything else. What do you think he said? I mean, ultimately, Trump's rhetoric, as always, is too strong. The enemy of the people. But I will say, a lying media, it's not good for the people, is it? They aren't, and they clearly treat the people with absolute disdain. What prompted all of this, by the way, was, if I remember rightly, it was a CNN journalist, probably Jim Acosta again, turning up to a Trump rally and loads of people going behind CNN sucks. And they couldn't handle that. Well, I don't want to break it to you, but CNN does suck. You have absolutely made it... You've absolutely now made what you pass off as news an absolute laughing stock. You've had to issue several retractions this year alone. You've been wrong on multiple stories. You've been caught on undercover video admitting that things you have dedicated coverage to, like the Nothing Burger incident, with all this Russian bullshit. You've been caught admitting that you are only doing it for ratings, and somehow you expect to still have credibility with the people that you clearly hold in such low regard. It doesn't work that way. And even if you wanted to, even if the stereotype that the media imposes that all Trump supporters are yokels and morons, right? What do you expect? If that was true, then, morons would have no use for a functional media anyway, right? So you turn up to a Trump rally, and you bang on all of these people. You have said all of these people are racist. You've said all of these people are stupid. You have said that their candidate of choice is lots of things that you don't have any evidence for. You've basically been a fucking activist wing for the Democrat Party. What do you expect? You want a fucking red carpet rolled out? At what point do you think that you need to maybe look inwards? And this is why this New York Times column is a fucking joke. Because, Brett, here's what I would do if I was a political journalist and I was a little bit worried that, holy shit, we are getting a lot of criticism about this. We are being told that, a lot actually, that we lie and we can't be trusted. Maybe we are losing our way a little bit. I'd ponder on whether or not I was biased, whether or not I was letting my political biases get the better of me. Not Brett Stevens. He decided that Trump demonizing the media, keep in mind, by the way, go read about Barack Obama and how he treated Fox News. It's just a direct correlation to how Trump treats CNN in particular. Go look it up. He, I believe at one point, did push to have them banned from the White House as well. But certainly constantly talked about how Fox was just an activist branch for the Republican Party, which they certainly were, by the fucking way. No one is pretending otherwise. But Brett Stevens, Trump will have blood on his hands. Why? And what's interesting is they are talking about how journalists have never been in more danger, right? Which definitely sucks. But equally, it's got to be said that when the Antifa pieces of shit are attacking journalists and punching cameramen and doing all, you don't write up a single column inch about this. And you haven't, and it happened again at Charlottesville, the 1-year anniversary march, where there was no white supremacists. At a count, 30. And there was hundreds of Antifa punching journalists and punching the police, and there wasn't a single, column or whatever decrying the attacks on journalists. Yeah, where do you think this rhetoric, you've hopped these people up telling them they're the fucking resistance and they must resist. And they must go out there and they must punch the Nazis. What happens when the Nazis don't turn up? They've got to punch something or they're not resisting. Congrats, media. At what point are you going to say, well, we got our own journalists attacked by juicing up these a domestic terrorist organization? Do you want to take responsibility for that? No, I don't think so. So Brett Stevens, he will have blood on his hands. Blood, because everything's so dangerous, we're all going to get killed right now. This is the other fantasy that journalists have, by the way. They all think of themselves like war correspondents. They all think they're out there in the fucking, war zone dying. Now, again, as somebody that has been, I'm a member of Amnesty International, and I've done some stuff with Reporters Without Borders, paid some money for that, which is a press organization, basically, which, does political advocacy on certain issues for freedom of information and freedom of the press, because I feel strongly about that stuff. And I get a Reporters Without Borders newsletter and all of this, and they reel off journalists who've been in prison, journalists who've been killed. Again, just probably bears repeating. Obama did spy on journalists and try to have journalists imprisoned. I mean, but it's Trump who's going to have blood in his hands, obviously, of course. You are not that. Like, New York Times columnist is not somebody who is in an immediate danger. Why are you pretending? Why are you LARPing? It's just so stupid. Now, here was the other thing I thought was amazing, and this will blow your mind. I don't know how many people who watch the show follow Joy Reid, but this is just unbelievable what Joy Reid did. Joy Reid is someone who, as you're going to see, has zero credibility left, and yet is still kept on by MSNBC just because of her politics. She tweeted out, Sarah Huckabee Sanders lies. She attacks our free press. She's referring, by the way, to this video that you just watched. I don't know where she attacked the free press within that video. You all saw it. Maybe you can tell me. No respectable employer should hire her after this term. No university, no news outlet. She has endangered the lives of reporters. That's why she should be shunned, not harassed, just shunned. That's Joy Reid. Now, I'm going to tell you some stuff about Joy Reid, in case you didn't fucking miss it, because we could have done a whole show on this crazy bitch. Right? But this is Joy Reid. Now, somebody discovered a blog from back in the fucking day that Joy Reid had kept. And it's happened to her twice, and she never lost her job about it. And in it, there was like all this mad stuff. I'm trying to think what the worst of it was. Here you go. She made homophobic remarks, right? and she apologized for it. She did an anti-gay sort of fucking blog post where, hang on, I'll read it to you. I've got the quote here. Hang on a moment. Let me just find it. Yeah, here we go. Oh, and transphobic as well. Yeah, so she accused several prominent political figures of being secretly gay, made a bunch of homophobic jokes, made a bunch of transphobic jokes, and she put all this up on a blog, okay? And she came out and she apologized for it and said, I am not the person now that I was when I wrote these things, okay? But then more stuff got found out. She did a bunch of anti-Israel stuff. She came out with some weird 9/11 conspiracy theories. And it got brought up again. And the media rallied round Joy Reid and basically said, oh, this is just one of these right-wing plots to try and destroy her. And, you know, she's a clearly better person now and it's all good. And this is in 2006. She said Wolf Blitzer from CNN was too soft on Jews and implied that it was because there was the Jewish media conspiracy that anti-Semites like to bring up so much. She posted a picture of John McCain's picture photoshopped onto an image of a mass shooter. She gave out 9/11 conspiracy theories, saying it was an inside job. She did all of this and went on to work for MSNBC. And if you want to read a great article about this, there's one over at The Federalist, because here's what she said. To try and diffuse this, she came out and said, I didn't write these things, and the blog was hacked and changed, and then somebody said, no, we've got archives. There's no way. Here's the archives from that time in the way back when machine. And she said, someone has changed those. So to do that, there would have to be a time-traveling hacker. And so Rich Cromwell over at The Federalist wrote, confession, I'm the time-traveling hacker who is destroying Joy Reid. That was literally the best she could come up with. That someone must have gone back in time and changed her posts, changed the archives. What was also crazy was the people who made the Wayback Machine, they came out and said there's no way these have been tampered with. And the media still backed her. And she's talking about how Sarah Huckabee Sanders is attacking a free press and no respectable employer should hire her. How the fuck has Joy Reid got a fucking job? Does anyone know? And to CNN's fucking credit, and words that will very infrequently come out of my mouth, even CNN were a little bit repulsed. They did a column about it, Joy Reid and MSNBC's credibility problem. They didn't hype it up too much. They just did a little video. And now they're just back to pretending it's all good and MSNBC are a credible fucking news outlet. Like, holy fucking shit. MSNBC. Time-traveling hackers, Sam. So what else did the press do off the back of the enemy of the people comment? I mean, again, it's just getting embarrassing. You got Joy Reid out there saying this, you know, Sarah Sanders should never have a job anywhere else ever again. She should be shunned by society. Again, a woman who used homophobic slurs, transphobic slurs, a woman who compared John McCain to a fucking school shooter, a woman who said 9/11 was an inside job, a woman who talked and promoted the Jewish conspiracy on her fucking blog and now works for a major news network. She's talking about being shunned and no second chances. All right, fine. That's fine. So there's this thing called Museum. I don't know if you know about Museum. It's basically it's an attraction in Washington, D.C., where it shows you the history of journalism. It's like a museum, obviously. Shows you the history of journalism, but it's also, you know, they try and give money and get involved with like activism for the importance of a free press and First Amendment rights and stuff. And obviously, there is no getting away from the fact that fake news is a term that is now going to forever enter the lexicon. It's certainly going to be there for decades to come. all because of this election cycle. So Newseum, this again, it's an attraction, so they need to make money. They created a T-shirt that says "Fake News," or rather, "You are very fake news," and you can buy the T-shirt at Newseum. You can get it on their website, get it in the place, and obviously, it's a little bit of fun. It's a little bit of fun, you know. Well, not according to Matt Visor. Matt Visor, again, following up on this, enemy of the people, war against the press sort of delusion. Matt Visor is the bureau chief for Washington for politics at the Boston Globe. He really needs to brush up on that whole First Amendment thing. Because he said here on Twitter, this T-shirt, referring to the fake news T-shirt, doesn't belong anywhere. It particularly doesn't belong at the Newseum, a place that celebrates journalism and has the First Amendment etched in stone outside its building. The First Amendment, Sam, about freedom of speech. And he's wanting to censor a T-shirt in a building that has the First Amendment etched in stone outside of it. These are your journalists. These are the journalists right now that are out there. They don't even understand basic free speech principles. He's the guy writing about politics at the Boston Globe, and he doesn't understand the First Amendment. He doesn't understand why maybe a place dedicated to the free press and the First Amendment might want to publish a T-shirt he disagrees with personally. He can't get his fucking tiny mind wrapped around that. And yet he's free to write about politics for a major publication. I thought this was interesting as well. The Guardian, of course, they like to pretend that they're a very important publication, and they wait and see what the American media are doing and then completely parrot it to be right on. And if you look here, you will see they did this piece. Basically, what that says is by Jason Wilson. It says, "Doxing, assault, and death threats, the new dangers facing U.S. journalists covering extremism." And I just thought this was interesting because they tried to make it look again like it's right-wing people killing journalists and attacking journalists and doing all of this, when in actual fact, if you look at the most recent spate of reports, it's Antifa that have been beating up journalists and attacking journalists with impunity, I'll add, because no one ever holds them accountable. No one ever writes anything about it. And in fact, the journalists have tried constantly to make overtures to Antifa and befriend them. Antifa has been declared a domestic terrorist organization by American law enforcement. I have no idea why you would want to bed down with these people. Why can't we just agree that political extremism, be it left or right, is bad? Why are we coming out and saying... I mean, I saw, I think it was Chris Cuomo from CNN just today while I was sat there again in my depression cycle of like just reading the news and thinking, how can any of this be real? He came out and said, I would argue that not all punches are morally the same. That if you punch somebody who's a bigot, it's okay, pretty much, to paraphrase. So anyway, so they talked about this. And like, listen, doxing... death threats, all of this stuff. I didn't like it when it happened to me. I don't think it should happen to anybody. But let's talk about, didn't CNN actually encourage this stuff? Haven't CNN engaged in these practices? Yeah, they have. Unfortunately, they absolutely have. And nobody said a fucking word about it. Do you remember when CNN tried to expose... There was that wrestling meme? Do you remember the wrestling gif where it was Donald Trump and he came in and he was in the WWE and he did the fake attack on the CNN logo from WrestleMania? Yeah. Right? Well, I remember at the time everyone was hyped up saying this is Trump directly encouraging people to attack the media, which is a pathetic interpretation of a joke. And that's the kind of tweet I can at least get on board with, I suppose, to a moderate degree. I still think it's pathetic a world leader is doing it, but at least he's not fucking name-calling or whatever. And to be fair, I think he only retweeted it, didn't he?
I don't know. I think he posted it.
Or did he post it direct? I can't remember. It might have just been a retweet. But anyway, neither here nor there. The point is it went out on his feed. And everyone went mental about it. So how did CNN handle... this? They went on and they dedicated news resources to finding out who made the GIF. And it's amazing people have forgot about this. And they found out there was a guy on Reddit who posts on the Donald called Han Asshole Solo. And they basically got him to apologize under duress. They basically said, I've got it here, CNN is not publishing. And again, how is this newsworthy? Who cares where the GIF come from? Why is this a newsworthy thing that CNN are trying to do? But they went, they used all of their resources and connections at Reddit, and it makes me very dubious as well that they were able to get in touch with this guy and find out who he was. I'm sure Reddit complied and violated privacy laws because they do that all the time. They've done it to me, with fucking Riot Games, sharing information that certainly violates my privacy. So it says here, CNN is not publishing Han Asshole Solo's name because he is a private citizen who has issued an extensive statement of apology. He's a private citizen and is in no way a news story. You created this news story, and an apology is irrelevant to whether or not you should reveal his identity. It's not in the public interest to reveal his identity and put this man in danger. But you were more than happy to do it. And they said he issued an extensive statement of apology, showed his remorse by saying he has taken down all his offending posts. What they mean by offending is pro-Trump posts and anti-CNN posts. And because he said he is not going to repeat this ugly behavior on social media again. Who the fuck are you, CNN? Twitter police? What the fuck is this? And then they added, CNN reserves the right to publish his identity at any time should any of that change. Oh, so you are blackmailing him. Okay, good. I'm glad the Press Standards Commission totally okay with this now, with you basically blackmailing a private citizen to reveal his identity because he made a GIF that you didn't like. That's CNN. Okay, let's talk about enemy of the people. Let's talk about putting people at risk. They did. That wasn't just the only time as well. They went and confronted a female Trump supporter. And again, think about this: a news crew turning up to your house, and you're an elderly woman, right? And suddenly a news crew on your doorstep lecturing you, telling you you're part of a Russian conspiracy to put Trump in the White House. And CNN did this. they found out, right? So there was this story that broke about how a Facebook group that was pro-Trump was being controlled or funded by some Russians, and she was in that group, and CNN turned up and basically said, you have actually helped the Russians here. What have you got to say about it? And they harassed her on her doorstep and filmed it. You can see it there. And CNN, again, they just proudly put this out. Now, if we're talking about who is at risk here from extremists, journalists do get protection. Journalists have access to bodyguards, security teams. They often work for networks that can afford security details and already have security in their buildings. It sucks that journalists would feel unsafe. As I said, it's happened to me. It's not cool. But you know who can't afford any of those things? The general public. And when you come out and you fucking identify people in a world which is being torn apart by political extremists on both sides of the equation, you are actively putting them in danger. She's an elderly woman. She can't afford to have a fucking security detail posted outside. The police can't dedicate resources to having someone sit outside her house in case someone might turn up. And you put her in the firing line, CNN. You put her in danger because you didn't like the fact she was part of a Facebook group. The same, you threatened to put a man in that danger, assuming Han Asshole Solo is a man, right? You were willing to put him in that danger, threatened to put him in that danger if he said anything bad about CNN again. What is this? If this is not a criminal cartel style type of behavior, I don't know what else to tell you. That is like how you get protection money. So don't tell me, right, like when we talk about fucking, enemy of the people and how it's inflammatory rhetoric. Don't tell me you haven't done things to maybe earn that tag. Because that's fucking bullshit. And then, well, how are we doing for time, by the way? I have a tendency to get fucking foamed up myself.
Hour and a half in.
I might have timed this pretty accurately. Right, and you may remember from 2 episodes ago, we talked about we talked about Sarah Jung, and I said it's a good thing that she was able to keep her job, and we should move away from all this inflammatory nonsense where people get fired over tweets from years ago. I want to move away from that. I don't care if we've got to let a few lefties basically behave like hypocrites to get us to the place of sensible neutrality. I said that. Well, what I didn't know at the time, of course, was that fucking Sarah Jung was out of control, and it was way worse than I fucking thought it was. For those that don't know, Sarah Jung was recently appointed to the editorial board of the New York Times. She's a tech journalist, an Asian tech journalist, who has a penchant, shall we say, for basically saying all white people deserve to die. And it's like, okay, unfortunately, that type of rhetoric just seems to get a pass on every platform these days. And they get away with it by telling you whiteness isn't the color of your skin. Whiteness is an academic concept about power. So if you're poor and you have no power, whiteness doesn't apply to you. You are white, but when we talk about whiteness, we're not talking about you. That's what they say. That's how they get away with it. I seem to remember a lot of racists saying things like that. When we're talking about those N-words, we don't mean you. We don't mean you. We mean those N-words. It's not you. You're great, you know? We're talking about these ones over here. It does sound like the typical rhetoric of a racist. I seem to remember my father, who was a racist, a terrible racist, was in the BNP, I believe. And I see on one of the few visits that I had with him in prison, he used to use exact rhetoric like that. He used to say, I don't have a problem with the first generation West Indians that came over to Britain. They're okay. They worked for a living. But this uppity new generation that think they're owed things, yeah, fuck those guys. This is the rhetoric of racists of any stripe and color. And if you cannot see it, you have not been paying attention. We don't mean that you, white person with no power and no privilege, we mean all the other white people that create all of the problems. Wink, wink. You're a fucking racist. The end. Okay? The end. So anyway, Nick Monroe, who is a journalist that's certainly, no stranger to controversy in the past, but he, one thing I'll say about Nick, I've had the pleasure of meeting him in real life. We've had a few drinks. He is a strange chap, but he's a strange chap that I can get on board with because he certainly has an eye for the paper trail. He certainly has a dedication to digging and archiving that will always put him in good stead as an investigative journalist. Even if sometimes his interpersonal skill, that component of the journalism side of things is lacking. And I'm not saying anything I haven't said to Nick. But anyway, he went through and basically covered all of her tweets in a way that no one else had done. And keep in mind, the New York Times came out and they said that she was an Asian woman who had been abused and harassed, and she used the language and methods of her harassers back against them, and she knows not to do this again, and she's not a racist, and that's why we feel comfortable putting her on the editorial board. Oh, and by the way, just as a general point, a lot of people on the show, and a lot of people that disagree with what they perceive to be SJW bashing, right? They always say the same thing. They always go, yeah, but it's just colleges, it's just campuses, it's never going to go anywhere important. That campus crazy bullshit, that wacky noodle doodle fucking you can't be racist against whites nonsense is now on the editorial board of the New York Times, one of the most powerful publications in the world. So yes, it does matter, and it is important to stamp out this fucking nonsense. in the campuses before people's brains get infected with this and the propaganda spreads. It may already be too late. I said it the other day. I don't think the pendulum's going to swing back. I think this is it now. I think if you can't live in a world like this, head to the hills. There isn't a culture war anymore. The war is over. What's happening now is like that fucking guy in Japan who refused to surrender. That's who you are now if you don't want to bow down to the you can't be racist against whites lunacy of the extreme left. They were very clever after Bush got in. They do have all of the tools you need to control and influence the sort of territory within which the arguments will be held. It's over. They control big tech. They control the newspapers. You know, the leftist thinking is spread out across all of the things you would need to push back on. It's done. It's over. You can run around the fucking jungle and say, I'm not surrendering until the emperor tells me to, but you've already lost. It's done. And that's the sad reality. Sorry to break it to all of you. But anyway, so if you go into this thread with Nick Monroe, you will see some insane fucking tweets. I just can't believe it. Dozens and dozens, if not hundreds, of just endless stuff talking about how she hates white people, wants to make fun of white people. I had no idea it was this extensive. And again, Sam, I won't read them all. You can just scroll through. It talks about exclusive, white clubs, white guys, fucking white people being inferior, how they can't read, how it's going to be great if white people die out. Just endless. White people, white people, white people, white people. All she'd ever talked about. She has a genuine dislike of people on the basis of their color of their skin, and I don't know what it's predicated on, because here's the fucked up reality. If we're talking about privilege, darling, I don't know what else to tell you. You are one of the most privileged types of people ever. You're a Harvard graduate from a wealthy Asian family that now works for the New York Times on the editorial board. It doesn't get more privileged than that, darling. The end of the story. You're the privileged person in control now. It's not me, is it? It's not Sam, is it? We're white guys. We're not in charge of shit. Do you know what I mean? At what point is the penny going to fucking drop? At what point, if it's really about privilege, at what point are you going to accept, oh, yeah, actually, yeah, I got some of that. But it's just, are you still scrolling through this, by the way?
I no longer reached the bottom.
How mental is it? How crazy is that, Sam? Those are all tweets hating white people. And the New York Times fucking hired her. It is absolutely insane. And just as well, by the way, in case you were wondering, there's a reason. There's a reason to discount her as a serious journalist, for starters. In that tweet, she came out and publicly supported, I don't know if you remember the UVA rape hoax. I think we covered it on the show, didn't we, when that happened?
No idea.
It was the one Rolling Stone covered, where they basically violated all journalistic ethics, because why wouldn't you? Because narrative is more fucking important. And they basically took a source who was completely unreliable, consistently got a story wrong, wanted money, I think, at one point, but also refused to have any follow-up questions asked or any form of scrutiny to her story, and would only give her story to Rolling Stone if they sort of published it unquestioningly in its entirety. Rolling Stone said, yeah, that'll do. And they just ruined the lives of a bunch of young men who didn't rape her at all. And Rolling Stone had to pay out $1.65 million to the fraternity that they had and of course it doesn't matter. It doesn't, at that point the money is moot. You will always be dubbed the kids that were involved in that rape case. And they just published it. Well, Sarah Young says, if you're a rape victim, you need an airtight affidavit to be believed. If you've been accused, you can knock a story over with a feather. I'm furious with this wishy-washy vague retraction. None of the reasons are convincing. There isn't a good reason to believe Jackie is lying unless you already want to believe she's lying. There was shoddy reporting in this story, but that's not Jackie's story falling apart. That has to do with the shoddy reporting. And on it goes. Tweet after tweet after tweet, basically still saying publicly that these vindicated people who were lied about and falsely accused of rape have been paid the damages by the publication that got it wrong. The story was completely broken and fucked up. She's still publicly saying that these kids are guilty. And she's just been appointed to... It's an editorial board. She's in charge now of editorial standards. She fucking hates white people and says that they deserve to die, and also says that, if you're a white guy and you get accused of rape, you're just guilty by default, and if you weren't, you were probably fucking thinking about it. It doesn't matter if you're fucking exonerated. No, there's no way. There's no way. This is mental. This is absolutely mental. And what makes it even more mental is, why can't you be self-respecting enough to distance yourself from that? But instead, what actually happened was endless pieces of writing backing up Sarah Jong and parroting this myth, this lie, that you can absolutely not be racist against white people. I haven't even got time to fucking list all of the opinion pieces that just chirp this absolute garbage. Daily Dot did it, of course. But just look, you can see here, Vox.com tweeted out, blaming right-wing Twitter for trying to bully her. No, she made publicly available racist tweets that she didn't even think it might have been worth deleting before this job announcement. That's how brazen it is. That's how fine it is to be racist, as long as you're being racist against the people that society deems it's okay to be racist against at any moment. Isn't that creepy? Does that not fucking bother people? That it's the same exact mechanics of hatred just being exacted on a different skin color, and you're okay with it because, well, there's an academic theory that we're all powerful and we all control things, probably, maybe. Ridiculous. So Vox came out and did that and said it was part of this new wave of bullying tactics from the right wing. Ironic, of course, given that the left wing has gone after everyone's job for unsavory tweets just consistently for years since 2015. You can see here there's a picture, a collage, if you like, of just verified journalists all saying you can't be racist towards white people. You can't be racist towards white people. You cannot be racist towards white people. Just repeating these lies. It's like it's like a sickness. You put a bunch of ill people in a room. In fact, hang on. I'll tell another story. I remember my friend Davis. You can bring up the images, by the way. You can bring up that collage if you want. While I'm just talking over this. But my friend Davis, who's no longer with us, he hung himself and committed suicide. He was somebody that had struggled with drug psychosis and all sorts of problems during his life. I remember he told me when he was sectioned, which is to be put into an institution, he told me about how when he got in there, he was a bit reluctant to talk to anybody at first because he was like, well, everyone's fucking crazy and I'm not. Which of course is the common belief of anybody who is crazy. But I don't think Davis was crazy. But he was in this institution, and he didn't want to talk to anybody. And then he warmed up to somebody, and he fucking said, "Oh, you seem normal. Well, why are you in here?" And the guy turned around and said, "Oh, you'll never fucking believe it, but," because it was in Wales, and he said, "You'll never fucking believe it, but I picked out the lottery numbers. I did." And I saw them come up, and I fucking landed, just won the big jackpot, 20 mil minimum payout, and I forgot to put them on. I couldn't find the ticket, and I realized they'd fucking forgot to put on the numbers. I always played those numbers, and they came up, and I forgot to put them on, and I missed my chance, and it just drove me crazy. I just couldn't believe it. And Gareth was like, fucking, oh yeah, that's really fucked up. That would drive anyone crazy. That would drive anyone crazy. And he relaxed a little bit. He was like, fucking hell. And he got to talking to some other people and hanging out and, taking the medicine. And he got talking to another guy. And he was like, oh, why are you in here? Just separate day. And this guy went, you never fucking believe it, but I won the lottery, but I fucking forgot to put the ticket on, right? And he was like, all right. And what he quickly realized was everyone was mental. So it was just stories. Chances are that guy was making up a story. They were all making up a story. Maybe that guy heard that fucking story from the other guy and was just repeating it. And he said while he was in there, and he was only in there for like 6 weeks, he heard this lottery story multiple times. And this is modern journalists. This is this modern leftist thinking. You can't be racist against whites, and they're all just in there. You can't be. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same as being racist to anyone else for any other, for being part of any other racial group. It's exactly the same. But because you're trying to cloak your racism in fucked up, fictitious things that you've just invented in your fucking brain, you're going to tell everyone it's all right. And it's fucking shameful to see so many people come out in support of this. This myth of it's power times prejudice divided by... Get me the fuck out. Just get me out, if you believe that. Just to prove a point, by the way, and it's such a moot and childish point, Candace Owens, who is not a... I'm told that I'm supposed to respect her as a great thinker. She certainly isn't. I think she makes some good points on occasion. I think she was recently on Joe Rogan. It was fucking embarrassing. But she made this point, and it's a childish point. She took Sarah Young's tweet and she replaced the word white with the word Jewish. And she got suspended from Twitter for violating hate speech rules. I mean, at what point does the House of Cards come crashing down, guys? At what point do we accept that it's racism? Who knows? Daily Dot, as I said, here it is here, came out with a big one. You can't be racist against white people. Can, though. Definitely can. As long as white is a race, as long as you would, I don't even know what we would need to do to sort of declassify it. But maybe then and only then. Then you would go down the same route as the people you love so much, right wingers, who, they say the fact Islam isn't a race. And you go, oh, but you're just disguising your racist rhetoric. Yeah, exactly like what you do with white people. You are the same fucked up idiot. You just have different targets. Then you've got, who is this person? I'm sure she poses as being someone important. I think, she's from the New Yorker. Your friend Helen, she's called. She's a writer over at the New Yorker. And she said Sarah Young will outright outthink and outlast all you motherfuckers, but good luck being fragile, racist, misogynists. Not a single ounce of awareness in her body. The rule is you're going to pop up in my mention calling Sarah Young a racist. You've got to include in your tweet which alt-right source fed you that opinion. Because you would have to be alt-right. Even if, I'm not talking about white genocide, by the way. You know what? You know my feelings about that. I said that multiple times. I think it's fucking stupid. A demographic shift is not a fucking genocide. And anyone who says it is, you must immediately be suspect of their intellectual capacity because they're morons. All right? But why would you have to be alt-right to independently say, like, if I read a tweet and the tweet says, fuck white people, I hate white people, I can't wait for white people to die out. If I was to conclude that person was a racist, that makes me alt-right now. That's how fucking far gone the press is. Absolutely insane. Says here as well, Mazel Tov to all you het-up drooling sheep, replying with the exact same screenshots of Sarah's tweets that all bear pixel-identical URL markups. Oh my God, you idiots. I'm not saying the tweets are fake. I'm saying you're all sharing the same screenshot because you're being good lobotomized pawns in someone else's game. Imagine that. Imagine calling somebody lobotomized when you are parroting a sociological theory that has only existed. I mean, sociology pretty much being a pseudoscience. You're parroting a sociological theory that's only existed the last 10, 15 years. and you're parroting en masse because it's a big leftist talking point. Yep, everyone else is the sheep, not the journalists, of course. What else do we have here? Oh, there was... oh, yeah, we don't need to bring that up, actually. We can leave that. That's not so interesting. Oh, and this is the best part. Because you may remember, Sam, Roseanne Barr. We didn't talk about Roseanne Barr. Again, it was one of those topics I just wanted to avoid. Fuck it. I'm out. If she... and again, I'm ambivalent on it. Or not ambivalent. I'm kind of in two minds about it. If she knowingly compared a black person to a monkey, I definitely have an issue with that. If she was talking about a haircut and she didn't know the person was black, I don't have an issue with that. But again, it's which one was it? And unfortunately, you can't trust anything to disseminate it because the right wing are going to go, oh, it's an absolute disgrace. All she was doing was mocking the woman's hair, and of course there was nothing racist about it. And how far have we gone? And we're all men. And then the left go, oh no, absolutely, because I saw the picture of the woman she was talking about, and she didn't look black. I wouldn't immediately have looked at her and gone, you're black. So, but anyway, the New York Times they wrote a piece about the Roseanne Barr incident. And in the article, which was called, the header was, Roseanne Barr crosses a line and ABC draws one. The network's decision to cancel Roseanne over a racist comment will cost it, but when people decide to let racism slide, it costs the rest of us. And then they appointed Sarah Jung, and they went back and stealth edited the article to take that line out because they knew it would make them look hypocritical. Like, what world are we living in? I can't even begin to tell you, by the way, somebody that's worked for publications, I can't tell you how unethical that is. I remember getting pulled up because I went back and did several amendments for spelling and grammar on an article without even sort of disclosing I was doing it. And I'm guilty of it. I think in esports, way back when things were lax, I've gone in and I've took a line out here because it turned out it was wrong, and really what I'm supposed to do is put at the bottom, I edited this because I originally got it wrong and I'm sorry. That's proper journalist practice. And of course, this is many, many years ago, but I knew, and it doesn't excuse it, that it was just esports. That's actually rotten thinking. I was wrong. I disgraced myself and my profession by doing that. That's how serious I would take it. I'm willing to admit it, and I've made a conscious effort to make sure I don't do it again and don't stray from that path and stick true to the values that I swore to uphold when I took on the lofty mantle of journalist. But I cannot begin to describe how unethical that is. To just go back and, fuck, it's going to make us look stupid now, so we'll just edit the piece and pretend we never wrote it. Absolute madness. Absolute madness. But again, this is the press. They're not the enemy of the people, Sam. Never the enemy of the people. They go back, they cover things up. They hire people who hate people based on their skin color, but it's okay because it's the most powerful skin color apparently, which feels like a racist concept in and of itself. It's okay. Just don't ever point out that they are bad people. Don't ever do it. Don't point out that they're abusing their power. If you let it slide, you'll be safe. You'll be safe. They won't come for you. They won't fucking write the articles about you. They won't try and take your job away. That's the press. It's ridiculous. Just to try and cheer everybody up before we start wrapping up the show and winding down, I will say thank God for David French. David French is a journalist who writes over at the National Review. And I'd urge you guys to check out his columns. He's really been on point with the last few he's written, very much on my radar. I've already mentioned Michael Tracy. If you don't follow Michael Tracy, go out there and follow Michael Tracy. We had him on a podcast. We did a show. He even argued and disagreed with a lot of my things and said I was very strong in my opinion. He's very much a moderate, middle-of-the-roads kind of guy. He doesn't get caught up with hysteria on either side. He does a better job of it, honestly, than I do, I think. I get really het up about certain issues, especially media abuses. He is very temperate and a great journalist, no doubt about it. recently left the Young Turks. I mean, that was never going to last. He's too moderate for them. But anyway, David French is very much on my radar now as being another person. Despite all of this rhetoric and all of this nonsense and all of this absolute, oh, you can't be racist against whites, how preposterous, all this, academic garbage that's like spilling into every facet of our lives. David French came out and just said, yeah, anti-white racism's real, it exists. And he said the denigration of the tagline's brilliant. It's just beautifully succinct. The denigration of human beings works its own harm. What a wonderful way to sum it up. That it doesn't matter who it is that you're denigrating. I'll just have to read you some of this. I just think some of the language in here is it's so really well written. It's the kind of writing you aspire to do. Like when somebody can just nail the crux of something. Earlier today, the New York Times announced that it had hired Sarah Jong to join its editorial board, and like clockwork, controversial old tweets promptly surfaced. In them, Jong expressed some rather interesting views of dumb-ass fucking white people, musing about how much joy she gets out of being cruel to old white men, and how white men are bullshit. For good measure, she also compared white people to groveling goblins, and questioned why they're genetically predisposed to burn faster in the sun. In a statement, Jong expressed her regret and explained that she was engaging in counter-trolling designed to mimic the language of racists who harassed her online. The Times is standing by its hire. Good. It's time to end termination by Twitter and debate bad ideas head-on. As for whether the Times and other elite outlets will display the same fortitude when a conservative is the target of online outrage, well, I'll believe it when I see it. But it's one thing to argue that Jong should be given a chance to prove herself at the Times, and another entirely to justify the content of the tweets themselves. Yet that's what part of the left-wing Twitter did. The argument isn't just that the tweets were satire, which was the other thing. I completely glossed over that because that came out much later when I collated all of this. They then started saying she was clearly being satirical when she absolutely wasn't. Rather, numerous liberals took on the very notion that anti-white racism exists or matters at all. These tweets are representative of the idea, and he gives some tweets, including our good friend Patrick Klepek being there. These comments echo ideas that have existed for some time. Essentially, they're tied to the notion that anti-white rhetoric and ideas can't be racism because such rhetoric is justified and or not connected to power. But this argument confuses the gravity of an offense with the existence of the offense. A powerless person's hate may not harm the powerful, but it is still hate. A powerless person's hate may even be grounded in specific experiences, but it is still hate. The essence of bigotry is to look at the color of a person's skin and on that basis alone make malignant judgments about his character or worth. Moreover, it is simply false to excuse anti-white racism on the grounds that people of color lack power. There are certainly many millions of vulnerable and marginalized individuals in this nation, and they are disproportionately, though not entirely, black and brown. But when anti-white sentiment is embedded in the New York Times editorial board, it's no longer powerless in any meaningful sense. Similarly, when it reaches the heights of government, the academy, or the bestseller lists, it's no longer remotely powerless. None of this should be taken as an argument that power doesn't matter, because of course it does. Power matters, and so does purpose. That's why no one should compare Jong's comments to the racism you see on Stormfront, or to the racism we saw on display in Charlottesville last year. Racism married to violence or violent intent is categorically different from the anti-white racism you see in certain quarters of the elite identity politics left. Similarly, racism married to state policies, especially state policies of the relatively recent American past, which continue to have malignant effects on the poor and disadvantaged Americans today, is categorically different from the anti-white racism that exists in parts of the academy or in segments of American media. Anyway, he just goes on and ends with, a healthy society urges people to reject unhealthy temptations to generalize, and instead urges that we treat our fellow citizens with a degree of grace and judge them based on their individual actions. Any categorical hatred or disgust stands directly against this virtue. So yes, anti-white racism is real, and Americans can and should reject it while still keeping in mind matters of gravity and proportion. It was the most intelligent thing I think I read while all of this was at its height. And, yeah, you should you should definitely go and check it out. As I said, it's David French. He's over at the National Review. He dropped another banger of a column, I think, today, which was, about the double standards in reporting political violence. It was actually yesterday, where he talks about why the mainstream media will not condemn Antifa. It's really, really good. Just a top guy. So thank God for him, because honestly, we're rapidly running out of sensible, moderate journalists that understand that you need to be, objective. Anyway, we can start to wrap up the show. Sam, you're with me?
Yay.
I see the smoke machine's been going on.
A little bit, man.
Yeah, I thought so. Well, look, let's. I've got a couple of funny bits to wrap up the show. I totally forgot about this. I should have put it up when I was talking about UK being shit again. But here we go. I'll just bring this up. So this just sums up the average Brit abroad for me. This is a story from the Daily Mirror about Frida Jackson, 81, right? And it's here. British tourist moans her Benidorm holiday was ruined by too many Spanish people.
Fuck off. That can't be real, man. That can't be real.
Frida Jackson, 81,
what do you
said
mean,
she cried at the end of her
mate?
2-week trip to the popular holiday destination through travel operator Thomas Cook
She
in May
cried?
this year. Yeah, she cried.
There's too many
There's
Spanish.
There's too many Spanish people in Spain, Sam.
Too many Spain, too many Spain.
Right?
We need some more Brits in here.
Right. Just look, retired care assistant Frida said the hotel was full of Spanish holidaymakers and they really got on our nerves because they were just so rude. One evening, a Spanish guy nearly knocked me flying and he just walked off without even apologizing. The entertainment in the hotel was all focused and catered for the Spanish. Why can't the Spanish go somewhere else for their holiday?
Fuck off. Why did you go to the Lake District?
Mental, innit?
What do you mean?
Why does she think, right? Why does she think it's a British person's right to go to Spain on holiday, but the Spanish people,
Because I've seen Benidorm on TV. I thought it was in the UK.
It's bonkers, right? It's absolutely mental.
That is the most outrageous shit I've ever read.
Yeah, like I'll add she's 81, I suppose. I mean, look,
So?
no. I mean, obviously that, but you know how you go a bit soft, don't you? Do you know what I mean? You do go a bit soft, don't you?
What? To the point where you get annoyed that Spanish people are in Spain? What does that even mean?
I mean, I'm not justifying it, obviously. I'm just saying that, you do lose your fucking scruples a little bit.
Next time, go Blackpool, love.
Yeah, I think that's more your speed. So there was that. Then I had to bring this up. There was no way I could do the show today without talking about this. So obviously Kickstarter, right? Popular place to get your games kickstarted. What that means is people give you money, and if you get enough for a project, you go ahead and you do it, and the people who backed you get special rewards, and it's great. So I saw a game on Kickstarter the other day, and I couldn't fucking believe it. I couldn't believe it. I'm just looking at it now to make sure there's nothing not suitable for work. Here we go. Okay, so right, visual novels, they're popular. Yeah.
Them weeb games.
Yeah. Dem weeb games. Absolutely right, Sam.
Fan of the pigeon one though.
Oh, Hatoful Boyfriend.
Whatever its name.
Fucking, that's a banger, mate. That's a really good game. I've got that. Make no bones about it. Played it privately. No problem. Anyway, so there's one in development now. Again, if people want to go out and support it, I'd love to see this get made. I will certainly play it on my stream, provided Twitch doesn't, put it on their ban list. It's called the Super Patriotic Dating Simulator. And what you have to do in it is you infiltrate ISIS, right? And you take them down from the inside, okay? So I'll just read it to you. Carly S. This is the brief. Carly Esmaili here, the founder of Immigrant Father Studios. I'm an Iranian-American person, and I wrote a video game to express all my complex feelings towards America, the Middle East, and my clitoris. I'm proud to present the Super Patriotic Dating Simulator. The Super Patriotic Dating Simulator is a satirical visual novel. You play as Elodie, a 19-year-old CIA super spy. As one of America's most ruthless agents, you've been assigned a deadly solo mission: infiltrate and destroy ISIS. Besides the whole super spy thing, you're just a normal American girl who's really horny. Give these fuckers an American ass kicking and maybe learn a bit about your body on the way. Just remember the number one rule of the CIA: always ask for consent. And just look at some of the fucking screenshots here. Like, you've got a character in it called the Caliph, right? Yeah. And look at that. I'm just worried you might be using me. I'm tired of casual sex and beheadings.
Fucking hell.
I want something that's meaningful, something that will last. Only then will I give you my gift. And you can see all the dateable characters there. There's the Caliph, there's Hassani, there's Omar, Yasser, Sadiq, General Rashad, General Wazim. He likes horseback riding and interpreting religious texts. He's the chief cleric. This is a banger, Sam.
Is it though?
Mate.
Couldn't be in my definition of a banger.
I am fucking all up for this. This game needs to get fucking made. I am telling you. So I'm just saying, if anyone wants to go and support that, like you do with my fucking blessing. Put it that way. And then just finally, Sam, I got a video. Like, you know when we did the shaky man video with the beer, with the beer, and we got a big laugh at you at the end. I don't know if this one's gonna do it, right? I don't know if this one's gonna do it for you, but it made me chuckle, so maybe it'll make you laugh. Right. So there was a guy on Twitter, right? He's called Dan White. He's just a regular dude, no one special, and he met Bill Murray. And again, I've talked about this before. It really bums everyone out, but you know, it will just. I want you to just fast forward in your mind to the day Bill Murray dies. It just sucks, doesn't it? It's just like the worst day ever. Like, it's fucking really, really bad. So he is a national treasure. He's a national treasure on borrowed time. He's a fantastic guy. And obviously, meeting Bill Murray would just be a huge, fucking wonderful, life-enhancing experience. Well, Dan White got to meet him, and Bill Murray's a good sport. Like, quite notoriously, he loves meeting, you know, fans and. He like gate crashes, like just parties all the time, just turns up and talks to people and stuff. He's a fucking legend.
Hey, it's me, Bill Murray.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And Dan White got the chance to meet him, and he wanted to do like a Saturday Night Live intro video to treasure the memory, you know.
Right.
So it's just 20 seconds. I'll just let you play this, and you can just see how it goes.
Let's go.
Hello, my followers. I'm here with legendary comedian, movie star Bill Murray. You know him from such films as The Ghostbusters and The Ghostbusters 2. Yes. He's in all the Wes Anderson films, and we're just going to make one of my biggest dreams come true. So, ready, Bill?
Yes, ready.
Ready? Live from New York, it's set.
Oh, man.
He got fucking
Live
What did he get it right?
I don't know. I don't even know what it is, but he gets absolutely that face plant, mate.
Even the impact
New
noise,
York,
mate.
it's set.
Live from
followers,
New
I'm here with legendary comedian.
You may know him from Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 sounds.
Yeah,
big fan, are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm sure Bill Murray would fucking.
Soon as he
he's gonna want Ghostbusters 2
out.
being brought up, like, no doubt about it. But there you go. So I just thought I'd cheer you up a little bit. So yeah, there you have it. Right, so we can probably wrap up the show there. Just a final reminder, of course, to all the people that are watching, go out and support the show sponsor, Rivalry.gg. Use the code RLS to earn up to $350 in VIP bonuses. Again, it's really helped the show out. Also, don't forget, Twitch Primes definitely help us out. The last time we talked about Twitch Prime, we got a wave of Twitch Primes. It did help that Fifth Lauren was there.
Yeah, I do see a lot of crowns in you, mate. I don't know.
Yeah, but like, you know, remember, Twitch Prime, it don't cost you anything. It costs Amazon. Don't Amazon own the Washington Post?
I don't know.
I'm sure. Which paper do they? Yeah, Amazon own the Washington Post, and by extension, Twitch and everything else in it. They're a huge media conglomerate empire. So before my channel gets banned for criticizing them, if you've got Twitch Prime, take money out of their pocket, put it into my pocket, right? And that'd be good. And then obviously by extension you also put a little bit in the Sam's pocket. So, and yeah, just if you have Amazon Prime, and Amazon Prime's good. Look, I don't care if Jeff Bezos is starting an evil empire, because I like Amazon. I like fucking ordering shit and it turning up
sick.
2 hours later. I know when it arrives, the parcel arrives, I know it is drenched in blood. It just is. You cannot be this efficient as a business without someone getting fucked in the chain. I know someone has been exploited, but it's just, I can't help it, I'm a consumer too. If I close my eyes and I just don't think about it, it's okay. It's okay. So, there you go. And Alexa works for the CIA as well, don't forget. So anyway, yeah, so if you do have Twitch Primes, throw them our way. We really like it. And yeah. So anyway, yeah, we'll kill the show there. Thanks very much for watching. I really appreciate it. We don't know when we'll be doing another Richard Lewis show, but we should do one soon. I mean, there's nothing really stopping us, is there? But I'm going to go and cook a roast dinner for Sam. Sam's earned his dinner today. He sang for his supper. So yes, until the next episode, take care of yourselves. We'll see you soon.